Welcome back to the Fabienne Show. Let me start our episode today by telling you a story of a woman who I worked with many years ago who believed that one-on-one customized work was the only way that she could do business. Let me give you some background. She was a gifted healer, holistic healer, helping people heal themselves of very serious illnesses. And she had this belief that everything needed to be customized. I was teaching how to create frameworks and packages and using your intellectual property to scale to 1 million. And vehemently, she said, I cannot do this. I do everything based on my intuition. And while she was at 6 figures to begin with, when she entered my program, she couldn't get past that $100,000 mark. And she was stuck. Her clients raved about the reviews, but because she thought she had this limiting belief that her intuition was the only way to do business, she just kept being paralyzed in her business year after year, not being able to make any more money or really take a lot of downtime. She had become the bottleneck. Why? Because every session was custom, every single one. And because she didn't have a repeatable process and she wasn't able to rely on any systems or methodologies, she could not scale her business more than the time that she had in the day. And she believed that systematizing your work would somehow take away your magic. And if that's you, or even a version of you, I want you to really lean in today. Because the truth is, your genius is not diminished by structure. It is actually amplified by it. Today, we're going to talk about how to stop customizing everything in your business and start documenting your brilliance so that you can scale it. And we're going to explore the myth of intuitive-only delivery and how to extract and package your magic into a proprietary system. I'll explain what that means and how doing so is the key to finally reaching the $1 million mark without burning out. So you can take those long unplugged vacations many times a year and have your business still run, scale, and grow without you involved in absolutely everything. So let's start with the myth of custom being better. Let's bust this myth right now. Custom doesn't always mean better. If you've been operating under the belief that every client needs a unique experience, you're probably exhausted. You're probably burning out. And you probably don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yes. Your intuition is a gift, and so is a customized program, but not at scale. Doing so will keep you in a constant reactive state where you cannot get out of your business and certainly not be able to sell it down the line when it's time to create an exit strategy for when that time that you need to stop working. I know you're not thinking about that now, but I want you to be able to sell your business for millions. More on that later. So here's what I found, not only in my own business, but in working with so many women who initially are overwhelmed and trapped in their business. Customizing every single aspect of your client experience creates bottlenecks in your time and in your ability to scale your business to 1 million. Now, you're listening to this, you may not think, oh, I could ever get to 1 million, but almost every woman that I work with and take to 1 million thought that in the beginning too, but you can. Just pay close attention to my words today. Yes, there is room for customization at a premium rate, but not for every single client or customer, because hyper-customization limits your income and your reach. It makes it impossible to hire and train others to help you deliver your brilliance. And at some point, your nervous system is going to scream, enough! Intuition and structure are simply not mutually exclusive. In fact, structure gives your intuition room to breathe. So where do we start? We begin with documenting your intuition. Now, when I first tell people that, they're like, how can you document your intuition? That makes no sense. But Think about your client process. Chances are, even if it's deeply intuitive, there is a pattern. If you've worked with many, many clients, you will probably have done the same things again and again, even if it's customized. So ask yourself this: what do I always start with? What shows up again and again for my clients in all different situations? What do I repeat without even realizing it? That's the beginning of your proprietary framework. You want to start documenting that. For me, in the beginning, 25 years ago, I started noticing that I was saying the same things to many clients about filling their practice, and I had essentially created a client attraction system without realizing it. So I wrote down all of the steps, I put them in order, I named the steps, and I created a process. A process I started taking all my clients through. Yes, there was still some customization because I was doing private client work at the time, but I was also able to create groups and programs and diversify how I offered my client attraction system. And I want you to have a process too, because when you start doing this, you create something that's really scalable, something that others can be trained on, something that can live in a book, a course, a program, something evergreen, a big 3-day event with 300 people in the room, or something that's totally automated. Again, in my own program, when I guide our members of Bold Heart to create their own framework, their own proprietary system, I tell them how I used to catch myself repeating the same thing day in and day out with 8 clients in a row in the same day and feeling like I was almost wasting my time. But once I documented it, I could use it in so many different ways and create so many different revenue streams. And that's what I want for you. This is how you go from one to many without losing the potency of your work. Now let's go deeper. Let's talk about how common denominators are actually the seeds of your method. The truth is, your genius is a system. Your intuition is also a framework. You just haven't named it yet. So I want you to start by looking for these common denominators across all of your clients and customers. What do they come to you for? What do you help them uncover? What transformation do you walk them through? What is your process? And then ask, what phases do they pass through to get that transformation? What's the emotional arc? What are the mindset shifts that always need to happen? What is the biggest resistance point for them, and how do you help them overcome this resistance into the transformation you provide? From there, you can create pillars, phases, steps, frameworks, methodologies, whatever shape fits your modality, your program, or the way you deliver your business model now. You see, my dear friend, this becomes your signature method, a scalable pathway to results for your clients, and a way for you to work with more clients and increase your impact and your revenue. So I am making a case today for you to package your knowledge so you can scale. In fact, you must package your knowledge so you can scale. This is the turning point in every 6-figure business. Maybe you're already at 7 figures, but you're overworked and you're burnt out and you just can't imagine scaling even further because it would require more work. So the point I'm making today is you either stay in custom work or you productize your genius and your intuition. And I know it's easy to say, oh, Fabienne, you're in the coaching industry. This is so common for you. It's not going to work in my industry. I have guided thousands of women to do so. And this is how they get to $1 million or more a year and are able to take so many unplugged vacations without taking their laptop or saying one more email and mommy will be right there. In fact, everything you seek, perhaps more money, more downtime, more impact, a bigger legacy, a deeper level of meaning and fulfillment, they are all tied to what I'm talking to you about today. And by the way, this is also how you can sell your business for millions down the line. One of my clients once told me a story about a woman who came to her with all of these swatches from her interior design business. And the woman was probably in her late 60s or 70s and said to my client, "Here, take everything. I'm closing down my business after 35 years. And my client said, "But what are you going to do now?" And she said, "Nothing." The woman had nothing to show for it. And so she retired just based on her savings instead of selling that interior design business for hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions. For women like us, it's really important that we make our own money and lots of it now so we have financial peace, but also so we can set up the rest of our lives to be, shall we say, protected financially and otherwise. So creating a proprietary system or a framework isn't just something nice to do. It's actually the smart thing to do for you, for your family, for your livelihood, and for your future. Because here's what happens when you package your method. You stop trading time for money. You create more predictable outcomes for your clients. You can empower others to deliver your work with excellence. So you're not the only one doing all the heavy lifting. And you open the door to licensing, certification, a group practice, evergreen revenue, and a secure future. When you stop customizing everything, you also stop overgiving and you can start scaling. This is what I did, and this is what I've taught countless women to do. It is not difficult. It's just unfamiliar and you haven't done it before. And the beautiful thing is you can then finally focus on what you love doing most. You can finally take off your evenings and weekends and just take time off from your business without everything falling apart because you're not there. And you can finally reach more people with less effort. In essence, this is a mindset shift from practitioner to visionary leader. It's not really just about efficiency. It's about transforming your identity. When you move away from being the doer to the designer of your work, you become the visionary, the thought leader, the one whose work lives way beyond them. And that's how real legacy is built and financial peace for years to come. So if you've been waiting for permission to package your magic, this is it. So my love, here's your invitation. Start by noticing what you always say, always do, or the way that you guide your clients through the transformation, and put it on paper. Name your pillars. Trust that your intuitive genius wants to be held in structure. And of course, if you want help with this, you don't have to do it alone. If you want to create a signature method, scale your brilliance, and finally build a business that can run without you being in the day-to-day operations, I can help. As always, I invite you to go to boldheart.com and first go look at the Success Stories tab on the website. You'll see story after story of women who scaled their business to $1 million and got their freedom back, and this is how they did it. And then book a call with us. Let's get acquainted. We want to find out more about your situation, what's working, what's not working, and the kind of business and lifestyle you dream about. And if you haven't already, go grab a copy of my book, The Leveraged Business. It's available on my website, boldheart.com, with lots of bonuses. This is the roadmap. It's your starting point. And I know you can do it. Sending you so much love. I believe in you.